Hey guys, what's up? I have some fantastic news for you. Shortly after the release of the OCG list, the TCG list has come out. This means these new lists will come out almost simultaneously, and now it's time to see how far the think process differs between the two ban lists. The first set of cards are the newly forbidden list. The thing to note about this is that in the OCG there were only 2 new cards added to that list. In comparison, there are now 7 cards on this list. This, to me, appears that there are greater problems with cards being abused within the TCG. The first card is Dynamite Knight, the True Drago Fighter. This is a water worm monster level 6 with 2,500 attack and 1,200 defense, and its card effect is to tribute summon this card face up. You contribute a continuous spell or trap card you control instead of a monster once per turn during either player's turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summoned monster, you can take 1 True Drago or True King continuous trap card from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. This is one of the biggest combo pieces of the True Draco archetype and responds instantly to anything your opponent does, being a non-once per turn. This means you are gaining a significant advantage quickly, and this is why the card has been straight out banned. It had at one point been 3 and then went straight to 0 immediately. The next card is Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord. This is an Earth Beast Warrior level 8 with 2,800 attack and 2,200 defense. And its effect is cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by having exactly 5 earth monsters in your graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 monster in either player's graveyard, special summon that target to your side of the field. If this card leaves the field, skip the battle phase of your next turn. This, for the life of me, I have no idea why this card is on the list, outside of perhaps the Zodiac archetype, who are all, of course, Earth attribute, and can abuse how many of them are in the graveyard. By definition, this card can abuse Rapier, considering that it has been limited. As for its other effect, to revive a monster from the graveyard, it's something that can be dealt with by other cards. Also, the downside of this card means, short of preventing it, of protecting it, you can stop their next battle phase with card removal. The next card is True King Lythosagim, the Disaster. This is an Earthworm level 9 with 2,500 attack and 2,300 defense, and its effect is, if this card is in your hand, you can destroy other monsters in your hand and or face up on your side of the field, including an Earth monster, and if you do, special summon this card. And if you do that, and both destroyed monsters were Earth, you can also look at your opponent's extra deck and banish up to 3 monsters from it with different names. If this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon 1 non-Earth worm type monster from your graveyard. You can only use each effect of True King Lythosagim, the Disaster, once per turn. This card is very versatile, provided you run an Earth-based deck, as it can be summoned by getting rid of cards both from the hand and the field, providing better options. The ability to remove 3 extra deck monsters can make it difficult for your opponent to deal with, as they may have specific outs to this, but if they are unlucky enough to have them banished, they cannot usually be recovered. And even when removed from the field, it can replace itself. The destruction effect can also trigger monsters such as Zodiac Rapier, forcing your combos on your own turn rather than relying on your opponent doing anything. It also, being a level, makes it appealing to run as a level 9, as some of the stronger monsters can be rank 9 Xyz monsters that usually have very strong effects. The next card is Denlong, First of the Yangtze. This is a light worm synchro tuner. that requires one tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is special summoned, you can add one Yangtze card from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can send one worm-type monster from your deck to the graveyard. This card's level becomes the sent monsters. If this face-up card leaves the field, you can special summon one Yangtze monster from your deck. You can only special summon Denlong First of the Yangtze once per turn. This card is a Synchro tuner that can manipulate its own level. It is not surprising why it is limited, as it can help bring out Shooting Quasar Dragon or Cosmic Blazer Dragon very easily, and other, obviously, requirements from Synchros that need a Synchro tuner. And it can search out 9 branches of the Yangtze, which is a powerful negating effect. This is an important combo piece in many Synchro decks, and restricting it completely means people will have to find other ways to bring out their difficult to summon Synchros. The next card is Daigusto Emerald. This is a Wind Rock Xyz monster, rank 4 with 1800 attack and 800 defense. It requires 2 level 4 monsters. Its card effect is once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, then activate one of these effects. Target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 1 card, or target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. The first effect is what it's usually used for. Recovering these monsters means you can access them again, and has been a substitute for cards such as Pot of Avarice at the time, where it had been banned. The rank makes it easy to summon, as it is a generic Xyz monster, and will always have use no matter what deck you are running, perhaps outside of macro decks. The other effect is not really used, as people don't tend to run vanilla monsters in their deck. Overall, it is a bit much for them to fully ban it. I can see their point, so as people cannot recover their resources as easily. The next card is Zodiac Broadball. This is an Earth Beast Warrior Xyz monster, rank 4. It requires 2 level 4 monsters, and has a question mark for both its attack and defense. Its effect is, once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Zodiac Broadball by using 1 Zodiac monster you control with a different name as Xyz material. If you used an Xyz monster, any Xyz materials attached to it also become Xyz materials on this card. This card gains attack and defense equal to the attack and defense of all Zodiac monsters attached to it as materials. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, add 1 Beast Warrior type monster that can be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand. The main reason is to search for Zodiac Rapier. Since it's at 1, it would make it for an easy search, which is what Konami wants to stop. Also, if you attach enough cards to this monster, it can gain great strength and run over your opponent's monsters. The next card is another card from the Zodiac archetype. This is their main monster. It's called Zodiac Dryden. This is an Earth Beast level 4, Earth Beast Warrior, with question mark attack and defense. It requires 4 level 4 monsters, and its effect is, once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Zodiac Dryden by using 1 Zodiac monster you control with a different name as Xyz material. If you used an Xyz monster, any Xyz materials attached to it also become Xyz materials on this card. This card gains attack and defense equal to the attack and defense of all Zodiac monsters attached to it as materials. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, then target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it. This card has been banned because it is too abusable. Being able to eliminate cards during both players' turn makes it too strong, as if you were to try and attack into it, then it could simply remove it before you have the chance, and is part of an archetype where it can keep gaining materials to become stronger and to remove your cards. The next set of cards are on the limited list. This means that you can only run one of them. First card is Ignace Heat, the True Draco Warrior. This is Fire Worm monster level 5 with 2400 attack and 1000 defense. And its effect is to tribute summon this card face up. You can tribute a continuous spell or trap card you control instead of a monster. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summoned monster, you can take one True Draco or True King continuous spell card from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. This card is limited because it can respond to your opponent's actions and can force a spell card to be used on their turn, which is dangerous and benefits from both yours and your opponent's actions. The next card is Miscellaneous Horos. This is a fire dinosaur level 4 with 1800 attack and 1000 defense, and its effect is during either player's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. During this main phase, dinosaur-type monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. You can banish any number of dinosaur-type monsters from your graveyard, including this card, special summon one dinosaur-type monster from your deck with a level equal to the total number of monsters banished to activate this effect, but destroy it during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Miscellaneous Horos once per turn. This card protects your monsters from effects. The other effect to summon a monster from your deck by banishing some of yours more useless dinosaurs means you can help to fuel the strength of a card such as Tyranno Infinity, where it gains 1000 attack for each removed dinosaur from play. It can also search out for your baby dinos, whose effects can be triggered through being destroyed from other effects, creating additional searches. Next card is Zodiac Rapier. This is an Earth Beast Warrior level 4 with 0 attack and 0 defense. Its card effect is, if this card is normal summoned, you can send one Zodiac card from your deck to the graveyard. An Exceeds monster whose original type is Beast Warrior and has this card as Exceeds material gains this effect. Once per turn, you can detach one Exceeds material from this card, special summon one Zodiac Rapier from your hand or deck. This was the most dangerous effect, as it could just bring out multiple versions of this card, enabling more Exceeds monsters, including fueling Dryden and Broadball, and continuing this cycle of recovery and destruction. By reducing this card to 1, you can no longer abuse this effect, as you cannot search for another copy, making this card useless outside of its foolish burial effect. The next card is Dark Hole. This is a normal spell card that destroys all monsters on the field. This used to be at 2, but is probably better at 1, considering that Raigeki is also at 1, and though it has the ability to destroy both sides of the field, typically it will only be activated when either your opponent has the greater monster presence, or if your monsters have destruction effects that can be triggered. Also, you don't need to run more than this, as there are multiple spell recovery cards to bring this card back. The next card is Gateway of the Six. This is a continuous spell card that says each time a 6 samurai monster or monsters is normal or special summoned, place 2 Bushido counters on this card. You can remove Bushido counters from your side of the field to activate these effects. For 2 counters, target 1 face-up 6 samurai or Shien effect monster. That target gains 500 attack until the end phase. 4 counters, add 1 6 samurai monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And 6 counters, target 1 Shien effect monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. This card is limited because it was very easy to abuse, its effects weren't a hard once per turn, and the nature of 6 samurais were to be special summoned quickly. As a result, you could bring out many of them and build these counters very easily. Each effect is also very strong, considering that Shien monsters tend to be of the extra deck. This means you can resummon them, permitted far too much consistency to the deck, when it used to be at 3. The next card is Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This is a normal spell card that says destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, then special summon in attack position 2 Kaiju monsters with different names from your deck, 1 on each side, but they cannot change their battle positions and must attack if able. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This card is a dangerous card, being able to Dark Hole the field and then provide your opponent with the weaker Kaiju and yourself with the stronger Kaiju, means you can put yourself at a significant advantage. It also forces them to battle that turn. The other effect, to search for a Kaiju, means you can end up overwhelming your opponent easily, and at the moment the Kaijus are considered too powerful, as with extra deck monsters it takes a lot of resources to bring them out. In comparison, these Kaijus just remove them from the field, and a card like Gamma Seal, the weakest, is still a 3000 defensive card, if you want it to be. When this was at 3, you can imagine the amount of frustration your opponent would have had if they'd spent time devising their strategy, only for this card to be activated. The next card is True King's Return. This is a continuous trap card that says, if this card is sent from the field and trap zone to the graveyard, you can target one monster on the field, destroy it. You cannot activate the following effects of True King's Return in the same chain. You can target one True Draco or True King monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon, or during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, tribute summon one True Draco or True King monster face up. You can only use each effect of True King's Return once per turn. This card permits multiple summons of your monsters. This creates a very real, very fast card advantage, and was necessary to be limited. It is far too powerful for a trap, considering it can enable summoning on both turns without much restrictions on it. The next set of cards are semi-limited, so you can run 2 of them. The first card is Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. This is a light warrior level 8 with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. Its effect is, cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing one light and one dark monster from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Target one monster on the field, banish that target face up. This card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated, or if this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, after damage calculation, it can make a second attack in a row. This card used to be banned as it was way too easy to summon, to abuse in Chaos decks, such as the new Twilight Swan, Light Swan deck, and other decks. I can see this becoming used at 2, considering it is not difficult to meet its requirements, and the effects can deal with your opponent, as if they have a stronger monster, you can just banish it, or if they have a couple of monsters, you can get rid of them by just attacking them through battle. The next card is Luster Pendulum, the Dragon Slayer. This is a light dragon pendulum tuner, level 4, with a pendulum scale of 5. Its attack is 1850, and defense is 0. Its pendulum effect is, once per turn, if you have a card in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy this card, and if you do, add one card from your deck to your hand with the same name as that card. Its monster effect is, cannot special summon Fusion, Synchro or Xyz monsters using this card as a material, except Draco Slayer monsters. This card was popular as it could summon Ignace, Prominence the Blasting Draco Slayer, which had on-target non-targeting removal, and so as a result we might see a new era for Pendulum, as some of the stronger ones seem to be making their way off the ban list, or at least lower down the ban list. The next card is Mathematician. This is an Earth spellcaster level 3 with 1500 attack and 500 defense. Its effect is, when this card is normal summoned, you can send one level 4 or lower monster from your deck to the graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card. This card has been very useful in the past, often as a semi-restricted Foolish Barrel. Often in Synchro decks, it would send either Blow Up Bulb or Level Eater to the graveyard to set up for later, or in other decks generally, set up the graveyard. It does not have considerable attack and defense stats, making it easier to get destroyed in a battle, and therefore you benefit from drawing a card. The next card is Bionic, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This is a Water Sea Serpent Synchro level 6 with 2300 attack and 1400 defense. It requires one tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters. Its effect is, you can discard any number of cards to the graveyard, then target the same number of cards your opponent controls. return those cards to the hand. You can only use this effect of Bionic, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, once per turn. Now, this card is permitted at 2, because, for those who don't know, it has had an errata, so its card effect has been adapted to make it less usable. Before, you could use its return effect multiple times, and you could use this effect on any card, both yours and your opponent's. So cards that loop through the hand used to be abused by this card. This is why it was banned. Now, since it is a hard once per turn, people will still run this card, but will be less inclined to use it. The next card is TG Hyper Librarian. This is a Dark Spellcaster Synchro, level 5. With 2,400 attack and 1,800 defense. It requires a tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters, and its effect is, if a monster is synchro summoned, draw one card. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. This card is a staple within synchro decks, as you can continue to draw into the resources you need, enabling faster synchros, and building your field up to bringing out multiple shooting quasar dragons, or the like, within a couple of turns. The downside, and why I think it has been put to 2, is with the link format, you'll need a link monster to open your field up, so it will take longer to reach these combos than in the past. The next card is Brain Control. This is a normal spell card that says pay 800 life points, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. That can be normal summoned or set. Take control of that card, that target until the end phase. This is another card that has been errated. It only permits you to take control of a card that is not an extra deck monster, but this is still not bad considering you can use the monster you take for a Synchro, Xyz or Link summon. And so anything that does this with as little cost is worth playing at 2. The next card is Burial from a Different Dimension. This is a quick play spell card that says target up to 3 banished monsters, return them to the graveyard. This can be useful if your opponent has forced your monsters out of play, or if the card you are using has a graveyard effect that requires banishing. You could reset these effects, though I suppose it has not had much impact, and it can be situational, especially at the beginning of a duel. I don't see people running particularly 2 of these. The next card is Shaddoll Fusion. This is a quick play spell card that says fusion summon 1 Shaddoll Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials. You can only activate 1 Shaddoll Fusion once per turn. This card is at 2 as it is not doing anything currently in the TCG. At the moment, with Construct and Winder being restricted, the two better of their fusion monsters, people have stopped playing them, though this card might encourage some use, as this enables a fusion during your opponent's turn, which can disrupt their plays. For example, if you went into Anoyatilis, I think that's how you pronounce it, that's the water version, it can stop your opponent from special summoning monsters from their hand or graveyard using spell and traps, limiting their combos. As you can imagine, that's a powerful effect, yet it's still being ignored. The next card is Preparation of Rites. This is a normal spell card that says add 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can add 1 ritual spell card from your graveyard to the hand. This is a card used to help bring your ritual cards together. It may become stronger than other people think, considering it comes from your normal deck and not the extra. It is not restricted to that 1 summon limit, unlike the others. Out of the list, I see this card as being the most likely to be limited again, as it will become popular very soon. The next set of cards are for the unlimited list. This means they can now be run at 3. The first card is Debris Dragon. This is a Wind Dragon tuner level 4 with 1000 attack and 2000 defense. Its effect is, when this card is normal summoned, you can target 1 monster with 500 or less attack in your graveyard, special summon that target in attack position, but its effects are negated. It cannot be used as a synchro material monster, except for the synchro summon of a dragon-type monster. The other synchro materials cannot be level 4. This card is more of a stepping stone for a synchro summon, as it can revive a monster and go into a synchro. Its only limits are, if you want to bring out a level 8 synchro, you will need alternative levels to make another level 4, so either a level 1 and 3 or 2 level 2 monsters can be used, and it must be a dragon, but with the variety of dragons out there, this isn't particularly a big problem. The next card is Honest. This is a light fairy type monster, level 4 with 1100 attack and 1900 defense, and its effect is, during your main phase, you can return this face-up card from the field to the hand during either player's damage step. When a light monster you control battles, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. That monster gains attack equal to the attack of the opponent's monster. It is battling until the end of this turn. I think this is a mistake on Konami's part. This card was limited for a reason. You never know if this card is in your opponent's hand, and if you make the mistake to attack into a monster, and this card is used, prepare to take a lot of damage. It is far too powerful to be at 3, and will encourage Bujin players and Galaxy Photon players, plus many other light archetype decks, to run this card at its maximum. All I can say to this is, for competitive players out there, start siding Mind Drain to shut this card down. The next card is Rescue Cat. My prediction was right that this card would be removed from the ban list as it has had an errata. I will put a card up at the top and in the description for the Rescue Ferret discussion where I had predicted this. It is an Earth Beast level 4 with 300 attack and 100 defense, and its effect is, you can send this card to the graveyard, special summon 2 level 3 or lower beast type monsters from your deck, but they will have their effects negated. Also, they are destroyed during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Rescue Cat once per turn. This is a good card and permits a synchro of up to a level 6 synchro, and benefits beast-based decks. I look, as someone who likes that type of deck, I look forward to running 3 of them, as I believe they can be that powerful. The next card is Rescue Rabbit. This is an Earth Beast level 4 with 300 attack and 100 defense, and its effect is, cannot be special summon from the deck. You can banish this face-up card you control, special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters with the same name from your deck, but destroy them during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Rescue Rabbit once per turn. This is a very dangerous unbanning. Dino Rabbit deck will be at full power again, so can go into either Lagia or Dolka, who are Xyz monsters that require dinosaur-type monsters, and both provide negation effects, whether it be one specific to monsters, and the other can negate spells and traps, making it difficult to navigate against the support that it has received from the Rescue spell card, along with the unbanning of Rescue Cat, makes this even more of a problem. The only way you can deal with this card is to negate its effects. My advice is, if you don't want to face this, to bring out the trap card, lose 1 turn, it would instantly negate it. The next card is Summon a Monk. This is a dark spellcaster at level 4 with 800 attack and 1600 defense. While this card is face up on the field, it cannot be tributed. If this card is normal or flip summoned, chain this card to defense position. Once per turn, you can discard 1 spell card, special summon 1 level 4 monster from your deck. But that monster cannot attack this turn. This card, a while ago, would have been amazing at 3, but with the limits on link monsters and extra monster zones, it is more difficult to bring out additional extra deck monsters, and it relies on you having a spell card in your hand as well. Also, there are plenty of outs to this card, such as Negation, which did not exist at its initial release. The next card is Witch of the Black Forest. This is a dark spellcaster at level 4 with 1100 attack and 1200 defense, and its effect is, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add one monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, but you cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with that name for the rest of this turn. You can only use this effect of Witch of the Black Forest once per turn. This card has had an errata, and so its value is less. Also, there are so many search monsters for specific archetypes these days that adding this card to your deck will make no difference. The next card is Charge of the Light Brigade. This is a normal spell that says send the top 3 cards off your deck to the graveyard, add one level 4 or lower Lightsworn monster from your deck to your hand. This is another card I don't understand why Konami has unlimited, as Lightsworns can abuse this card to no end. Sending cards from the deck to the graveyard is their bread and butter. It fuels their combos as a number of cards benefit from this effect, and searching for the Lightsworn you want means instant access to them often. The only reason I see why this has been unbanned is in response to the release of Twilight Sworn cards as sub-archetype within the Lightsworns to encourage more purchasing of their booster pack Code of the Duelist. I know this is a very, very cynical view, but honestly, this is the only reason I can justify it. The next card is Dragon Ravine. This is a field spell that says once per turn you can discard one card, then activate one of these effects. Add one level 4 or lower Dragunity monster from your deck to your hand, or send one Dragon-type monster from your deck to the graveyard. This card has had uses within Synchro Summoning, and can be useful again, though with links, Konami has thought that they deserve their field spell back at 3. The last card is Waybrandeis. This is a quick play spell card with these effects of destroy as many cards in each player's Pendulum zones as possible, then apply these effects in sequence depending on the number of cards destroyed by this effect. 1 or more, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. 2 or more, you can add one Pendulum monster from your main deck to your hand. 3 or more, you can banish one card on the field. 4, you can add one Wavering Eyes from your deck to your hand. This card has had its relevance within the Pendulum era. This was during the last generation, but would not be good here as you are not likely to resolve either the 3rd or 4th effect, considering you aren't likely to face too many Pendulum monsters by your opponent. The effects are useful, but since we have moved on to links, it makes sense for Konami to straight away unban this card. When comparing the OCG and TCG lists, there are a few cards that have been mentioned within each. These include Dynamite Knight, the True Drago Fighter, where the OCG has said we will permit you to have one of them. The TCG has said this card is too powerful for use, we're going to straight away ban it. This same situation is applied to Denglong, first of the Yangtze, with its banning in the TCG and one allowance in the OCG. This is also applied to True King's Return. The general message coming between the two ban lists seems to be True Dracos have been dominating the TCG far greater than the variety that is played in the OCG, and so we are going to completely stop it, so that players are forced to come up with better strategies. Denlong has also been used in the deck to bring out multiple synchros. The cards Summoner Monk, Witch of the Black Forest, Rescue Cat, Burial from a Different Dimension, Preparation of Rites, Wavering Eyes, and Dragon Ravine were also seen in different limits between the two lists. This to me says that the way players have been thinking is either very similar, or Konami as a company has actually sat down and devised as much of a joint ban list as they can, and then seen the differences and incorporated them individually. An interesting side note for both lists is the choice of Dinosaurs Limited, as Soul-Eating Oviraptor and Baby Cerosaurus were affected in the OCG, whilst Miscellaneous Horos was hit on the TCG. This may be down to the difference in uses. The OCG might have focused on more of the searching effects between the first two, whilst the TCG players could have been working more off the negation and special summoning effect of the latter. The OCG made attempts to support a wider variety of decks, including Pendulum, Burning Abyss, Synchro, Beast Warrior, Ritual, Cleese, and Monarchs, in comparison to the TCG, which gave support to Synchros in the form of Debris Dragon, Rescue Cat, TG Hyper Librarian, and Brain Control, and the OCG gave fewer bans to cards. only the two they felt dominated their area, in contrast to the TCG, who pretty much used the ban hammer to remove the Zodiac and anything that could immediately result in unfair searching or recovery of cards, including Dynamite and Digusto Emerald. Overall, I am of the opinion that both lists were very well thought out. They clearly took the time to look at their competition results and local tournaments. So, what do you guys think of the TCG ban list? Did you expect this to happen? Were there cards that you did not think would be hit on the list? And was there anything you were really hoping would be added to the list? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and as always, thank you for taking the time to watch this video.